It is January, and the wind has been coming down off the fields for 3 days without stopping. You are standing in your own living room, in your own house, and you can see your breath. You have the thermostat pushed as high as it will go, and still there is that cold that lives in the corners and never quite leaves. And when the envelope comes at the end of the month, the one from the power company, your stomach tightens a little before you even open it. $200, sometimes $300, in the worst of the winter, and when you add it all up, from the first frost to the last, it comes to $1,500, maybe $2,000, maybe more, for one season, for the simple business of not being cold. Now, not far from where you are sitting, there are 360,000 people who kept warm all winter long and never paid a power company 1 single cent. Not one. Their houses are warm this very night. Their children are sleeping warm upstairs. And when their season is done, the whole of it, from October to April, costs them somewhere between $600 and $1,000. That is close to 60% less than you are paying, and they are not doing anything you cannot understand. They are only doing the old things, the things that were common in every house on this continent before the wires came. Now I want you to sit with this for a moment, because I think you have been told a story that is not quite true. You have been told that a warm house is a modern thing, that it takes a furnace and a duct and a fan and a great humming machine in the basement and a wire running out to the pole, and behind that wire a power plant somewhere burning coal you will never see. You have been told this is the natural way of things, but it is not old, friend. It is brand new. Central heating the way you know it is barely 100 years old. For all the long thousands of years before that, in every cold country in the world, people kept warm without any of it, and they did not shiver through the winter. They were snug. The modern way is the new experiment. The old way is the one that is proven. My name is Amos. I am Amish, and I farm a piece of ground in a valley in Ohio, the same ground my father worked, and his father before him. I am not a scientist. I have no letters after my name, and I could not tell you the fancy words for the things I am about to show you. What I know because my grandfather showed me, standing in the cold with his hand on my shoulder, the way his own father showed him. My mother learned the keeping of a warm house from her mother, and her mother learned it from her mother before her, back and back, further than any of us can count. That is the only authority I have. Not a book, not a diploma, just hands that have done a thing 10,000 times, passing it down to the next pair of hands, and tonight I am passing it to you. So let us be plain about what I am going to give you. There are old ways of heating a home, and they fall into 2 kinds. First, there are the ways of making the heat, the fires and the flames themselves, and there are 5 of these worth knowing. The heater, built of mass, the stove that burns coal, the small flame that burns clean gas, the lamp that lights and warms at the same time, and the great oven built of stone and brick. And then, after the making of heat, there are the 2 ways of keeping it, of not letting it run out the top of the house and away, and these are the shape of the house itself and the stones that hold the warmth. 7 things in all. We will take them one at a time, and I will walk you through each one the way my grandfather walked me. Let us begin with the one that would change your winter most of all. I want to start with the heater built of mass, because it is the marvel of the whole business, and most folks have never heard of it. Picture a small stove, but instead of a big open firebox, it has a narrow burning chamber, tight and insulated, where the fire burns so fierce and so hot that nearly the whole of the wood turns into heat, and almost none of it goes up the chimney as smoke. That hot breath from the fire does not rush straight up and out the way it does in an ordinary chimney. No, it is led through a long channel, a bench or a wall built of clay and brick and stone, a great heavy mass, and as that hot air winds its way through, the mass drinks the heat in and holds it. And then, all through the day and all through the night, that stone bench gives the warmth back, slow and steady. 1 load of wood, no bigger around than your own arm, will keep it warm for 12 hours, sometimes a full day, holding a room at 70 or 75 degrees, a room as big as 2,000 square feet. and it will do this on 80% less wood than a common fireplace burns. Now here is why it works, and you already know this in your own body, though you may never have thought of it. When you come in from the cold, and you wrap your hands around a warm river stone that has been sitting by the fire, that stone does not burn you and then go cold in an instant. It holds the warmth and gives it back to your palms slow, long after the flame is out. Your own bones do the same. When you have worked hard in the sun all morning and then step into the shade, your body stays warm a good while, because the deep of you has soaked up the heat and lets it go slowly. That is all this heater is. An ordinary fireplace is a flame, and a flame is a fickle thing, bright while it burns and cold the moment it dies. But this heater is a battery of warmth. It charges up fast with a little fire, and it discharges slow over a whole day. The flame is a spark that flares and gutters. The mass is a coal in the heart of an old fire that will still be warm at dawn. They have a fancy word for the science of it, but you do not need the word. You need only the river stone in your hands. Load it once, and it warms you all the day long. Now let me bring you down into the cellar, because that is where you will find the coal stove, and the coal stove is the faithful old servant of the Amish winter. It is a heavy, honest thing, cast iron, set in the basement or on the ground floor. You build the fire right, and one load will give you steady heat for 12 hours, some for a whole day, so that no soul in the house has to rise in the black of night and go poke at it. We cut grates into the floor above so the warmth rises up through the house on its own, and on the bitterest days we set a shallow pan of water near it, and as the water goes to steam it carries the heat softly into every room and keeps the air from going dry as bone. A ton of coal runs about $100 to $150, and that ton will heat an ordinary house near about a month. The stove itself might cost $1,500 to $3,000, and I will tell you, some of these stoves have been warming the same family for 50 years and more. And here is the part most folks do not know. Coal is not like wood. Wood is temperamental, quick to flare and quick to fade, always wanting attention. But coal burns at a steady, even heat, hour after hour, patient as anything. You know this in your body too. Think of a man who sprints and then is spent, gasping, done in a minute. That is wood. Now think of a good draft horse, leaning into the harness all day long, the same steady pull from morning to night, never complaining, never quitting. That is coal. We have an old saying that a good coal stove is like a good horse. Treat it right, feed it right, keep it clean, and it will serve you faithfully for years. And that pan of water doing its quiet work, spreading the warmth through the house as it evaporates, that is no different from the way your own sweat carries heat off your skin and moves it about your body to keep the whole of you even. The water is the sweat of the house. It carries the warmth where it needs to go. Now, not every family wants the ash and the hauling and the cellar full of coal, and so let me show you the small clean flame, the heaters that burn propane or kerosene or natural gas. These give you warmth the very minute you want it, in a matter of a few minutes, and they need no wire, no electricity at all, which sits right with our way of living. There is no ash to shovel, no wood to stack and split, no dirt tracked through the house. Many of them are small enough to carry, so you move the warmth from room to room, following the family through the day. The fuel runs about $20 to $25 in a cold month, and a basic heater is only $200 or $300, and we are careful buyers. We lay in our fuel out of season, in the warm months, when the price is low and no one else is thinking of winter. Here is the marvel of it. This little flame is the quick one, the instant one, where the mass heater and the coal stove are slow to build, taking their time to gather their warmth. This one answers the moment you call. And your own body knows both kinds. When the cold hits you sudden, you shiver, and that shiver is your body throwing off heat that very instant. Quick, no waiting. But your slow warmth, the heat your body makes deep inside from the food you ate, that comes on gradual and lasts. The gas flame is the shiver. It is the fast answer to a sudden cold, the warmth you light when you walk into a chilled room and cannot wait for the stone to charge. Every household wants a little of both. the slow, deep warmth, and the quick warmth ready at hand. Now here is a thing so clever it took me years to truly see it, and it is the gas mantle lamp. In many of our homes, the light does not come from a bulb, but from a lamp burning propane or natural gas through a little woven mantle that glows white-hot, 2 mantles, sometimes 4. And these lamps, set about the room and fixed to the walls, throw off real warmth along with their light, enough to lift the temperature of a room 3, 4, 5 degrees. Of all the lighting in an Amish house, these give the most heat of all. One burner runs about $15 to $20 a month, and mind you, that is buying your light and a good piece of your heat at the very same time, from the very same flame. And why is this such a fine thing? Because the light you were going to burn anyway. You need to see of an evening, so the lamp is lit no matter what. The warmth it gives is warmth you did not have to pay a second time for. It comes free, riding along with the light, and your body, friend, is full of this same thrift. When your liver does its work deep inside you, breaking down what you eat, it throws off heat as it labors, and that heat warms your blood, and your blood carries it all through you. The liver was not trying to warm you, it was doing its own job, but the warmth comes anyway, and nothing is wasted. That is the gas lamp. It is doing the job of lighting your room, and the heat comes along for free, and in a good house nothing is ever wasted. And now let me show you the great one, the masonry heater, the champion of them all. This is a mighty structure built of brick and stone and mortar, a small fierce firebox at its heart, but walls so thick and so heavy that when the fire burns hot, the warmth cannot escape up the flue and away. It is caught, held fast in all that dense stone. You build one fire in the morning and maybe one at night, just 1 or 2 fires in a whole day, and it will warm several rooms around the clock, 4 and 20 hours, and it hardly makes any smoke at all. The surface of it never scorches you. It stays a gentle warm to the touch, so gentle that it becomes the gathering place of the house, the spot where the children do their lessons and the old folks rest their bones, and many are built with a bench right into the stone where a body can sit and soak the warmth straight into their back. This is the heavyweight of heating, the biggest and steadiest of them all. If the coal stove is the faithful horse, this is the great ox, slow and enormous and immovable, storing up more heat than anything else and giving it back for longer. And you carry the very same thing in your own frame. After a long, hard day of labor, when you have finally sat down to rest, your big muscles and your dense bones go on giving off heat long after you have stopped moving, radiating that stored warmth into the cool of the evening. The masonry heater is the great muscle of the house. It works hard for a short while in the morning, and then it rests and radiates all the long day and night, warming everyone near it without another log or another thought. Now, I have shown you the 5 ways of making the heat, but I told you there were 2 more things, and these are just as important, for what good is it to make warmth if you let it all run out the top of the house? The old ones knew this, and they built their very houses to hold the heat. Our homes are not grand, and they are not cramped, but middling, and they are built around a central room from which the warmth flows outward into the rooms beside it. The windows are set to face the south, so the low winter sun comes slanting in of an afternoon and warms the floors and the walls for free, a gift from the sky costing nothing. Many a house faces east as well, to catch the first warm light of the morning, and the ceilings are kept low, on purpose, with sleeping lofts above, so that the warm air, which always wants to rise, is caught where the people actually are, at the height of a body, and does not go wasting itself up in some tall empty space. The heat that rises warms the bedrooms up above. You know this without being told. When the cold comes, what do? You put on a coat, and under it a sweater, and under that a shirt. You dress in layers, and each layer traps the warmth of your body close against your skin and will not let it run off into the air. That is the whole of it. A house with high open ceilings is a body with no coat, letting all its warmth fly off into nothing. But the old house, low and snug and shaped around its warm heart, that is a body dressed in good wool, holding its heat where the heat is needed. They have grand words for this now, for the sun through the southern glass and the warm air held low, but you do not need the words. You need only remember how you dress against the cold, build the house like a good coat. And the last thing, the seventh thing, is the stone itself, the mass that holds the warmth. All through our houses we place things that drink up heat and give it back slow. Blocks of soapstone set beside the stove will soak up the fire's heat all the evening, and then, once the fire is out, go on radiating it into the room for 6, 7, 8 hours more. Walls of clay, floors of stone and brick, tile laid across the ground, all of it doing the same quiet work, taking in the warmth while the fire burns high and letting it back out through the cold hours of the night, like runners in a relay passing the warmth one to the next, so it never drops. And here is the last body I will give you, and it is the simplest. That dense stone drinks up heat the way a dry sponge drinks up water, slow to fill and slow to give it back, so the warmth comes out steady and even, like sipping cool water from a stream all day, rather than being knocked flat by a bursting hose all at once. It is the fat and the flesh on a living creature, the reserve that carries you through the lean, cold hours between meals. A skinny thing with no reserve goes cold the instant the food runs out, but a well-kept body, with something laid by, stays warm and even long after. The stone is the reserve of the house. It smooths out the highs and the lows, so that the cold hour just before dawn, when the fire has burned to embers, is not a cold hour at all. Now I must stop and speak to you plainly, the way my grandfather would have, and I want you to hear this above all the rest. I would rather you trust me than be impressed by me, so I will not pretend any of this is without danger, because it is not. Fire is a good servant and a terrible master. A coal stove, a gas heater, any flame that burns inside a shut-up house makes an air that you cannot see and cannot smell, and done wrong, without the right fresh air coming in and the bad air let out, it can make a whole family sick, or worse, in their sleep. This is not a thing to be careless with. If you would try any of this, do not begin big, begin small. Talk to someone whose hands already know it. Put in the little alarm that watches the air for you, the one that costs so little, for there is no shame in taking help from a modern thing that guards your children while they sleep. The old ways are good ways, but they ask respect. Give them respect and go slow. So let me set the whole of it before you once more, plain as I can, the way you would tell it back to your own children. The heater of mass, to soak up a small fire and give it back all day. The coal stove, faithful as a horse, for the steady all-night warmth. The clean gas flame, for the quick heat the moment you want it. The gas lamp, to give you your light and your warmth from one flame and waste nothing. The great masonry heater, the ox of the house, to warm many rooms on 1 or 2 fires a day. Then shape the house itself, low and snug and turned to the southern sun, to hold the warmth like a good wool coat, and lay in the stone, the soapstone and the brick and the tile, to drink the heat by day and pour it back through the cold of the night. Make the heat, then keep the heat. That is the whole of the old wisdom, and there is nothing in it you cannot do. Now I would truly like to hear from you, and I mean that. Tell me down below where you live, what country, what part of it, how hard the winter bites where you are. And tell me the second thing too, the thing I most want to know. Tell me what your own people did, your grandmother, your grandfather, the old ones in your family, to keep warm before all the wires and the furnaces came. Every family has some old trick, some way that got them through, and I want to gather them up. I read every single comment on these, every one, so do not be shy. Leave it there for me and I will read it. And before you go, let me tell you what I want to show you next time, for it is the strangest and the finest of all the tricks, and it hardly seems like it could be true. Next time I am going to set 2 humble things in front of you. One is a plain metal grate cut into the floor, and the other is nothing but an ordinary bucket of water, the kind of thing you would not look at twice. And I am going to show you how those 2 homely things together, a grate and a bucket of water, can carry the warmth of one small fire in the cellar all the way through a whole house, top to bottom. How a cup of water, of all the plain things in the world, can help warm every room you own. It sounds like foolishness. It is not. Come back and I will show you. Until then, keep it simple, keep it honest, and keep it homemade. And remember, the people who built this country with their hands